districts. For more on that, I want to bring in Republican Congressman Jeff Hurd of Colorado. Congressman, great to have you back on the show. You signed a letter with a dozen other Republican moderates urging House leaders to preserve Medicaid. So how will you be voting on this bill as it stands right now?
Thanks a lot, Pamela. It's good to see you again. Listen, I think this is a step in the right direction. We promised that we would protect Medicaid for the most vulnerable populations. That's what we're working hard to do. It's important in my district, making sure that we take care of the elderly, for children, pregnant women, the disabled. I think that we're making steps in the right direction, and as it is right now, I think this is a step in the right direction.
So the total number of people who could lose coverage under this budget, it's unclear. I want to note that. But there's this analysis from the Congressional Budget Office that suggests it could be in the millions. You've said that 1 in 3 people in your district rely on Medicaid. Do you know how many of them will lose coverage under this current budget?
Well, listen, I'm optimistic that we're going to protect the most vulnerable populations, including those in my district. You're right that 1 out of 3 people in my district relies on Medicaid. We need to make sure that we're protecting Medicaid and preserving it for those who need it most, those who are the most vulnerable. That's what I'm fighting for, and I think that's what the Republicans in the Energy and Commerce Committee and in the House are trying to do.
I guess it's also a question, though, of how you exactly define the most vulnerable. I know you mentioned the elderly and pregnant women and that kind of thing, but health policy experts say most people on Medicaid, many people at least, they're already working. And there was this CBO analysis from 2023 that found that work requirements would have negligible effect on employment status or how many hours Medicaid recipients worked. Do you have any concerns that people who really need Medicaid will lose access because of these new requirements?
Well, I would caution people to not read too much into what the Congressional Budget Office says with respect to these work requirements. I mean, we've seen that they've made projections that are not accurate in the past. I think fundamentally most Americans agree that if you need these benefits, if you sincerely are part of that vulnerable population, you should get them. And so making sure that folks have the work requirements in place, I think is something that's sensible. I think most Americans agree. Most people in my district certainly think that that's a step in the right direction. We need to make sure that the people who are utilizing these benefits are the ones that truly deserve it and need them.
But as you well know, these issues aren't always so simple, right? And you think about an example of someone who might work at a gas station, who doesn't get health benefits through their work, who doesn't make a lot of money, and who needs to rely on Medicaid, right? So they're working, but now will that Medicaid be taken away? And you had mentioned in a previous interview I was just reading about how just cumbersome it already is to get Medicaid and all to meet the requirements and so forth. I mean, how concerned are you about how cumbersome it could become for those who need it to get that Medicaid moving forward?
Well, it's something that's certainly important, but there is flexibility built into this legislation that the Energy and Commerce Committee is looking at. You can satisfy the work requirement all sorts of ways. You mentioned working a certain amount. Students also would qualify if you're doing volunteer work, if you're trying to work. So there's flexibility that's built into this, I think, which is good public policy. Is it perfect? No. Can we improve on it? Absolutely. But it's definitely a step in the right direction.
All right, I want to go to another topic to have you weigh in on this plane from Qatar, this luxury jet, and President Trump saying that he wants to accept it. As you well know, there is all this controversy over his plan to accept it as a gift from that nation. It's drawing backlash even from some Republicans and MAGA allies like Laura Loomer and Ben Shapiro. Where do you stand on that decision?
I have serious concerns with this so-called gift from the government of Qatar. Security concerns, ethical concerns using this used airplane, but it's also a gift from a government that supports terrorist organizations like Hamas. So if there were a Democratic president that was accepting a gift like this, we'd be outraged. I think it's something that we should look at carefully, and I have definitely serious concerns with this gift.
And what do you make of the fact that now the Trump administration is saying, well, actually, it's going to go to a department, DOD, State Department. It's really going to a gift to the department. Does that assuage your concerns at all?
It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I'm still concerned with this gift. Again, there's ethical concerns that I think still remain, but there's also security concerns. Why are we accepting a gift from a used airplane that's 13 years old from a government that is aligned with individuals and organizations that are hostile to our interests in the Middle East? It just makes me concerned fundamentally. It's a bad issue, and again, regardless of who the president is, I think we would be cautious, and certainly is something that I cannot support.
Really quickly, before we let you go, I want to ask you, you're on the Transportation Committee, and we know the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, is meeting with airlines this morning over all those flight delays at Newark. Have you seen a specific plan to fix those delays just as soon as possible? Not a long-term plan, but an immediate plan.
Well, certainly that's something that we're working on in transportation infrastructure. I am a member of the aviation subcommittee. That is a critical issue that we're working hard in the reconciliation process, but also I know behind the scenes the White House, Secretary Duffy, the Transportation Administration are working to get that issue addressed as soon as possible. I know that's something that's critical for folks, not just in Newark, but also across the country, including in Colorado. The traffic issues that Newark experiences affect us across the country, so it's something we need to get on right away, and I know that we're working on it as hard as we can with the Secretary of Transportation, with House leadership, and with the President.
All right, Congressman Jeff Hurd, thank you for your time.
Happy to join you, Pamela.